Vitya Diaries Chapter 18, What Love Is. When we weren't wandering around the city, visiting pet shops and bookstores, museums or going swimming, we hung around at his house. His mama liked to keep tabs on him more often than not, and how we were getting along. She joked about adopting me. She joked about us being twins. She joked about us being the stars of Russia and how lucky we were to be best friends, and that it would look so good in the interviews, standing on the podium together, Georgi with gold, me with silver. Because of your silver hair, she added quickly. She joked about a lot of things. Georgi's papa did, too. They liked to have me watch television with them after dinner, like my aunt and uncle did. And like my aunt and uncle, they made commentary on everything they saw. That person was too fat. That person was too thin. So-and-so was too effeminate. And what is going with the world these days? Tradition. Why couldn't anyone value tradition? Skating was a man's sport, they said over dinner discussions, and then apologized to me. They were just joking, they said. Did they even know what they were saying? I longed for the academy, even though it was only a little better. At least there it was a fact that male dancers were manly. No one had to prove it except in exams, and even then, it was just. I tried pole dancing at the academy as part of a one-day workshop, just to see if I could do it. I fell right off the pole. I was the only boy who didn't sign up as a joke and I couldn't do it. I wasn't strong enough. I needed to eat more. I know I needed to. I had to bulk up, but I didn't want to. Things were changing and I hated it. I was tired. But at least my legs didn't fail me as my short program came together on the ice. Even though coach and I didn't talk about anything but skating, we still worked really well as a team. He even took the song that I proposed Moscow by Genghis Khan and found me a length-appropriate remix to use. I thought for sure he'd complain. It'll go over well with the international audience, he said. Avram has been complaining about that in meetings lately. Abram Voronin was the representative for the RSU. I'd met him a handful of times, and he was always polite, but also very business. When a skater broke the rules, he was the one they had to answer to. He brokered our flights and hotel stays, lobbied for positions in international competitions, kept funding moving in and out of skating for Russia, and ensured that figure skating was seen as a notable sport worth protecting to the ones above him. He was the one to please, someone whose good side I wanted to stay on. I smiled. Yeah, well, who can say no to a cute little Viktor Nikiforov doing traditional dance on the ice? Duh? In traditional costume, too. Less than traditional music by a German pop group. Coach patted my shoulder with a smile, warm like fresh cookies. Duh. No one will be able to resist. Viktor Nikiforov, Princess of St. Petersburg, would lure them in with innocence and enthusiasm for Russia, then bring them to their knees with the seductress Mednogori Hozjajka from our native folklore. Kill them with sweetness and the crushing boulders of the mountains that I had sworn to protect. And then my exhibition. Why, I don't know. Why, what do you like? Me, mock your chin. Why, how do you skate to a poodle? Why, you can't wear a poodle skirt. Me, I might be able to get away with it for an exhibition. Me, but I don't like wearing skirts. Me, a 50s rock number could be really cute though. Me, pretend I'm roller skating. Why, you're cute. Why, I guess. Me, thanks Nico smile. Why, sure. I went to my aunt to ask if she would help me with the costume, and together we raided my cousin's closets for clothes that might fit. Going through their stuff was one of the best things about being home for summer break. Auntie didn't throw clothes out if they were in good condition, so there were years and years of second-hand treasures for me to pour through at any given moment. You're getting too big for your wardrobe anyway, she told me as I dragged out the boxes, searching for anything appropriately marked. Only one of my 3 cousins was male, but I didn't have a problem with that. Maybe it made my ensembles a little hodgepodge and old-fashioned, but I didn't mind that much. We could take you shopping, I guess. Let's see what's here first. I tore open one of the boxes belonging to Rodier, and began to pull out shirts and trousers, setting them aside. Nothing really nice, but functional. My aunt unfolded a flannel shirt and held it up. You'll drown in this. Next year, then. I pushed the box aside and ducked back into the closet. Can you make me poodle patch? A poodle patch? Yeah, one that looks like mock your chin. I suppose I could. Vitya, if you're going for a sock hop, you should really be wearing a leather jacket. Clava's assortment of knitted pantsuits held some promise, so I threw them out to the pile, then tucked into the blouses. I don't want a leather jacket, though. Are you going to be wearing pink? Not for the program, I don't think. I poked my head back out to look at her. Why? She looked away, tapping her long nails on the growing stack of fabric for me to try on. Oh, nothing. I was just curious. I tried on a bunch of clothes, and while I only found a few things that fit, I was too short for Clavas and too thin for both Rodiers and Lyubas. But there was just enough overlap that I was able to make a few outfits. My aunt assured me that once my growth spurt really hit that I'd be able to fill out the rest of Rodier's wardrobe without a problem. Too bad that he had the least interesting taste of all three of them. Except for maybe my aunt, though she wasn't really comfortable with me going through her used clothes at all. Fine by me. When I told Georgi about it, big mistake, he insisted we go to a mall. It's a normal teenager thing to do, he said. I guess, but I don't have the money to buy anything. That's the reason why I have second-hand. Yeah, okay, sure, but it's free to window shop. Fine. That's right in your budget. I frowned at him. Free is on your list. Okay, I get it. I'm like a hobo and you want to go to the mall. Let's go already. We took the bus to the mall. There were several right in downtown St. Petersburg, and one that I went to often enough with the other dancers from Vaganova. But since I was going to be going with my hopeful boyfriend, I took Georgi to one on the other side of the Fontanka River. Window shopping is a great way to spend some time with your significant other, Georgi explained. You can get a good feel for what she likes. Observe her habits. Pay attention to the signals she drops. So, take her out to stalk her is what you're saying? That's not what I said. Mokuchin stayed close, sniffing here and there. I had to admit, I was a little anxious with so many people around. Not because I was anxious on my own, but because I didn't know how he was going to react to all of the people. So far he'd been good, but if I didn't keep him on a tight enough leash, and he got into trouble, he could have his status revoked. And then he wouldn't be able to come with me anymore. And, hey, Viktor, let's go see a movie. I turned my attention to the theater up ahead. Formula Kino was popular with the international students at Vaganova, too. It was one of the places they could go to see the Hollywood releases in English, while the rest of us could read the Russian subtitles. A movie in the theater with Nico. I tried to picture it. The two of us sitting side by side in the dark, everyone's eyes focused on the flickering image ahead. His hand would creep for mine, and it would be waiting, palm up. Maybe our fingers would lace together. If we kept our hands down low enough, beneath the seats, maybe no one would notice. Those were the kind of logistics that I would need to work out ahead of time if I wanted to try it. A movie was a great idea. I nodded. Yeah, okay. What's play? But before I could even finish my question, Georgi ran on ahead to get tickets. We saw Pirates of the Caribbean and shared popcorn. Mokuchin helped. He even got his own seat, though he slept through the whole movie. I let it slide because he was a dog, but I almost got too wrapped up in Crazy Jack Sparrow's antics, and the romantic, unfairly handsome Will Turner's inner conflict to pay attention to the theater itself. But it didn't take long for me to figure out why couples preferred sitting in the back. A casual glance here and there revealed several dark corners just perfect for discreet cuddling, and sitting at the top meant you could see everyone beneath you. No one would catch you unaware. Once that was taken care of, I let it go and got back to the drama and curses and oh yes, the romance. Pirates was so cool. As we left the theater, Georgi couldn't stop talking about Elizabeth, which made sense, since she was the lead, and yeah, I guess she was pretty, but I was mostly jealous of her. Will deserved better, with his cute puppy eyes and pouty face. That was a good idea, is what I told him after while we shared a pizza at the adjacent food court, in lieu of any unconventional confessions. And if we go to Pirates, I probably won't be nervous cause I've already seen it before. Ooh, are you planning on making a move in the theater? Georgi waggled his eyebrows. That's so classic, Viktor. Creep your arm around her shoulders, get in close. He leaned over to pantomime, and I shied away while he laughed. I wasn't saying that, just it might be nice, you know? Maybe hold hands. Sure. Georgi bit off a piece of breadstick, then spoke into it like a microphone. You know what we should see next? I glanced back at the theater, my wallet already hurting. What? Titanic. Blinking, I looked back at him. What? The movie about the ship? Yep, he said. That movie is really romantic. I don't think it's playing anymore, Georgi. Don't worry. It's one of my mama's favorites. We can watch it at my house. I hadn't seen it before, but I'd heard plenty about it from the girls I went to school with. It was one of those movies you didn't have to see to have basically seen it. Memetic. Sure, I guess. Georgi smiled, and I should have known then that it was a bad idea, because he was just a little bit too excited about it. Great. I just know you'll love it. Okay. Georgi's mama just said okay when we got to his house and explained what we were doing as we headed into the den, and brought us snacks a little while later. The movie was romantic, just like Georgi had promised, but also long and terribly tragic. I strongly suspect that he really wanted to watch it because of the scene with the naked Kate Winslet, but didn't dare accuse him because he was so red in the face the whole time. There was no way he could have survived the art classes at Vaganova, that was for sure. Nude studies were part of life. Though we never knew our models, much less so intimately, I probably would have had trouble drawing Nico. What if he wanted to draw me? But he didn't really draw as far as I knew. Anyway, he did photography. If we became boyfriends, would he be interested in that kind of thing? He'd liked the proofs from Fifi's photo shoot. After all, maybe he would. That was so scandalous. But then Leonardo DiCaprio's character died, and so did so many others, and it was so awful and cruel and unfair. If I'd been on the Titanic, I would have died, too. Gavrik would have been one of those rich people to get onto the lifeboats without a problem. I bet Nico would have, as well. Georgi? Probably. I was an underdog like Jack. It'd be me in the water with everyone else on the stupid door. I tried not to cry while the ending credits rolled, but since Georgi was bawling, I couldn't help it. Then we cried together and it was a mess, and Mokuchin tried his best to comfort us both. My poor dog. Gosha, really? His sister said, coming down the stairs. Titanic? I wiped my eyes, but Georgi just stuck his tongue out at her. If you wanted to watch, you should have come sooner. Yeah, she waved him off and took the remote to rewind it. Let's watch the polka dancing scene. That night, we sat in Georgi's room and talked instead of sleeping until it got dark, which took forever since it was summer in St. Petersburg. I told him what I liked best about pirates, which was basically everything about being in the open sea, though I think I would have preferred to just live in a port city somewhere tropical, and he told me what he knew about curses. We both agreed that monkeys and parrots were great, too, and that we definitely would have set Jack Sparrow free, which made us both feel better. But inevitably, we got back to the Titanic, and being out on the ocean stopped being appealing all over again. Do you think a cruise ship like that would be boarded by pirates? I don't know, I confessed. The Titanic was pretty big. The pirate ship would have to be pretty well equipped. Modern-day pirates were a fascinating idea, though. I made mental notes to explore the theme for a future program. I had so many that I needed to do. I can't believe she let go of him in the end, Georgi said, stepping away from pirates as a topic of conversation once more. Never let go, Jack, she said. Never let go. I frowned up at him. She had to go on living, though. That was the whole point, wasn't it? Like in Moulin Rouge. You've seen Moulin Rouge? You act like I don't have any friends at all. Georgi. He made a close-mouthed puffed-cheeked face like a bullfrog before he continued with a huff. To be fair, you don't act very sociable, Viktor. Some of us went to the theater when it was released at Vaganova. A big group. Because there was so much dancing in it, you know? And it takes place in Paris. I continued when Georgi just stared at me, rubbing Mokuchin's head where it rested on my knee. We all learn French at Vaganova. It's the language of ballet, you know. Ah. Georgi waved a hand, dismissive. I think it's really the language of love. Maybe it's both. But you're right. Perhaps it is like Moulin Rouge. Rose went on to be very accomplished, like Christian. I sighed. Georgi arched a brow. That's what I hope. Anyway, I don't like to think of him wasting away. I didn't tell Georgi that it hurt to think of him like that. I ached, thinking of Christian mourning over his lost love, so heartbroken and sweet, so tender-hearted and handsome, and, God, I was so gay. Yeah, I think you're right. He probably went on to write so many musicals and books and poems. And remarried. Married for the first time, but yeah. Probably. I guess. It didn't seem possible to move on after such a love. I hope, when I find my soulmate, that we'll die together. What? Georgi gaped. You mean, like Romeo and Juliet? Sort of. But they were so romantic, he suggested. They were so moved by passion, so engulfed in their young love. They couldn't bear to be apart from one another, not even for a moment. That's so utterly tragic. I can hardly stand it. Georgi swooned and fell onto his pillow, clutching his chest. I watched him for a moment, blinking. I think they were being kind of reckless. Personally, I was thinking more of like that old couple on the Titanic. The ones in the bed? They died at the same time so that they wouldn't have to be apart from each other after a lifetime of being together. That's... I sniffed. I couldn't help it. Oh, yeah, that part always gets me. It's like your parents, too, isn't it? I choked. I always thought that was. Everyone always says such nice things about your mama and papa. What could I say to that? Mokuchi nudged my cheek, one paw lifted to my shoulder. Yeah, I finally said, they were soulmates. They loved each other very much. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's okay. We were quiet for a little while after that, with only my awkward, trying not to cry breathing to punctuate the silence. After all of the crying from earlier, it had turned into sort of a dull, throbbing headache. Matt Aviv said that it was common after concussions for that kind of thing to happen. Even though mine wasn't that bad, it had made every headache worse ever since. Hey, said Georgi, cutting me off mid-sniffle. What's the story with Coach and his ex-wife? Anyway, Lilia Branovskaya? Oh, I wiped my face with my free arm sleeve, since Mokuchin was leaning on the rest of me. They've been divorced longer than I've been alive, I think, but they're on and off again all the time. Both of them claim to hate the other, but they can't ever stay away for long. So they're still in love, I guess. Love to hate and hate to love. Something like that. What happened is pretty tragic, though. Right up your alley. Oh? I sat up, clearing my throat to tell the tale since it deserved at least that much. Georgi didn't need to know all of the details. Of course he wasn't to be privy to all of Coach's secrets, but he could hear the lovely fairy tale I'd constructed at least. You know the house that Coach lives in? Yeah. It's a good, solid house. Strong, sturdy, like him. He's lived there forever. He grew up there. It was passed down through generations from father to son, further to son, and Coach had a dream to marry and one day pass it on to his son. He never saw any reason to leave. Makes sense. Meanwhile, Lilia dreamed for her accolades to elevate her to the status of royalty. She wanted to be a queen among women, a prima ballerina, commanding respect, and living in a beautiful home that reflected this and all the lavish things that she worked so hard to accomplish. Which, as you can imagine, is pretty much the opposite of Coach's house. Oh, but they didn't talk about that, each assuming that the other knew what they wanted, and got married. And stuff happened, I said, deftly skipping over all of the war stuff. And when Lilia demanded they get a new house, things started falling apart. So what did they do? Coach won't tell me everything that happened, but I think they got an apartment that neither of them liked, and that didn't last very long. And so then Lilia bought a house which is really fancy, just like her, and Coach moved back home to his house which is just like him, and they just sort of meet at hotels and the like, which is neutral territory. It's kind of scandalous, really. I don't know. It's kind of romantic. I arched a brow. I've tried to get them back together 100 times, but they'll never stop being as stubborn as cats, romantic or not. I bet if they were on the Titanic, Lilia would tell Coach to jump. Georgi gasped. That's awful. I know. And he'd probably do it. But he'd argue first. Of course, Viktor. And then she would cry. I know she would. And she would say he was such a damned fool. Tragic. It's true. Isn't there anything that can be done? I don't know. If you have any ideas, I'm open to them. I always get in trouble for meddling, though. Well, I haven't gotten in trouble for it yet. I grinned. I think I'm starting to really like you, Georgi. Why thank you, Viktor. I think I enjoy your company, too, said Georgi, and I'd never seen him look quite so pleased. Georgi's mom dropped us off the next day at the rink for Saturday practice. We probably shouldn't have, but the moment we saw Coach, everything from the night before stirred right up again, and Georgi and I each latched onto one of his arms. Coach, I wailed. You gotta make up with Lilia. You have to, Coach. I know you guys fight, but you're in love and life is so short. It's so short, Coach. And you don't want to be all alone. All alone. Coach. He only spent about 10 seconds trying to figure out what we were crying about before he started barking orders to get off of him and onto the ice. Georgi gave up right away, but I was a little harder to shake. Even I wasn't a match, though, for Big Papa Bear's firm grip on my shoulders as he hauled me off. Vitya, we've been over this before. Don't meddle in my love life. But coach, get on the ice. His face was so red and veins so bulging. It was more a matter of not wanting to give him a heart attack that I gave in then. Defeated, I went to it while he huffed and puffed and tried to calm down. Even though he was mad, though, I noticed him fiddling with his wedding band throughout practice. Success. Why, you've been really quiet lately, Miska. Why, are you okay? Me, oh yeah, sorry. Me, I've just been running around a lot. Me, lots of workshops and practice. Why, and hanging around with Gosha. Me, yeah. Me, I guess I got sort of roped into showing him around St. Petersburg. Not sure how that happened. Why, yeah, I thought you hated him. Me, he's not so bad. Why, you're totally gay for him. Me, no way. Why, what happens during all of your sleepovers? Huh? I couldn't tell him that we stayed up talking about love and soulmates, or crying over Titanic. That would probably be too much. Me, we play with his dogs or his sugar gliders. Why, sugar gliders? Me, yeah, he has a pair of them that he keeps in his den. Why, what are sugar gliders? Me, they're like squirrels. Me, flying squirrels with giant eyes, and they're so cute. Why, okay. Me, no, listen. Me, I was sleeping and I heard this sound and I woke up all freaked out thinking that there were rats eating my feet, like the Rat King from Nutcracker. Me, and I freaked Mokuchin out by sitting up all fast. Me, and I looked over and there on the bed was Georgi sitting there with a flashlight and two of these giant-eyed furry things sitting in the dark. Me, I almost screamed. Me, it scared me so bad. Me, but then it turned out that they were just sugar gliders and he put one on my arm and it crawled into my hair and made a nest and it was really cute. Me, their names are Vladimir and Anil. It took Nico a while to respond, which was fine, because I took the time to text Georgi about the sugar gliders. It had really freaked me out at the time, but they were so cute, and Georgi really seemed to like his creatures of the night, even though his mama wasn't so keen on him sneaking his babies out of the cage late at night to play with them. But they were nocturnal, so what else was he supposed to do? Me, how are the gliders? Georgip, sleeping smile. Me, cute. Me, how are the dogs? Georgip, they're good. How's Mokuchin? Me, he's good, too. Do you want to bring Draka to the park today? Georgip, he's kind of big for the bus. Smile. Me, oh yeah, good point. Georgip, double pets for Moku. Me, lucky dog. I ruffled Mokuchin's fur and got our stuff ready to head out for the day, and Nico replied just before we got to the door. Why, wow Miska. Why, I had no idea you liked little animals so much. I frowned. Not like I hadn't mentioned every single animal I'd walked by in the past 8 months to him, but sure. Okay. Nico really only seemed to pay attention when he thought I wasn't. I tucked my phone in my pocket and Mokuchin and I went out into the summer morning, headed for the academy. If Nico didn't even care, what was all of this for? Once we got safely past the row of shops and our first couple of bus transfers, I checked my phone from the privacy of the train station. There was a message from Nico that bowled me right over all over again. Why, but I guess you are a cuddly little bear yourself, so it makes sense. Forget everything I said. He did care. I was just impatient and blushing, and I really couldn't wait to see him.